Hi, everyone. I just want to make a video as I'm processing some emotions coming up. A common pattern that happens is when our past that we think is gone or that we thought we've resolved or we thought wasn't a big deal, wasn't bothering you before. And then something happens to bring it to the surface. So I want to make a video about that because I'm processing that right now and just kind of want to put some information out, my experience. So I was born in Ukraine and under communism, and we were not the most impoverished families that lived in under communism, but I was malnourished, and especially we lived through perestroika when my parents lost their jobs, the inflation was really high. Like during communism, if you remember the lines, we would stand in the lines in the cold, and there was like be one little store for a large area, a large neighborhood. So everybody would stand in lines, and my mom told me that, we would have ration cards. And as children, my mom had to take both of us because it was per person. And if like they wouldn't believe you if if the child wasn't there, you can't say I have a baby at home. You have to take the baby with you in the cold so they can give you the ration for that baby. And I remember the shelves were full, but it was a little store, but it was very basic, like bread, really like some eggs, old sausages, really old. And I think most of the food we ate, we grew ourselves, or we knew somebody who grew food. So like people traded all the time. So I remember dizzy spells. I remember I had one sweater that my mom made for me. The schools required a uniform that was like made out of a potato sack. But you couldn't go to the store to even buy a uniform. It was, I got like a hand-me-down, like somebody gave. So it was used. And I remember when I was immigrating at the time, that uniform was getting small on me. And so I have to wear it hot, cold, winter, didn't matter. And so the thing is, I didn't realize until now, something happened now. I didn't realize how much all of that actually did affect me. I thought it was like, well, it happened, and that's just, I'm almost 37, and didn't realize that all of that really affected me. So immigration happened. Why immigration happened? Perestroika happened, and my parents lost their jobs. And because we have the Jewish lineage, Jewish identity, there was an agreement between Soviet Union, Israel, US, and Germany, these three countries, that gave Jews living in Soviet Union a refugee status. So, I mean, it's kind of different for each country. For Israel, we'll be making Aliyah. And for Germany, a few people went to Germany, and it's mainly because to unite families, because of the wall. So we did know a family that went to Germany. And then to come to US, it would be under refugee status. Um, in the 80s, when Jews were immigrating to US, they would go through Italy. So I've met people who it took them longer to wait for their paperwork, and then once they got, so they had to wait for permission to leave Soviet Union, and then Italy served as like the middle ground. So a lot of people stayed in Italy for like a month, waiting for permission, like for their paperwork to enter the US. We came in the 90s when the Soviet Union already fell. So, and US had the immigration laws to connect families. So it's like a chain, like the family member sort of sponsors you. So my uncle sponsored us, and his wife's family sponsored them. So it would be like a chain effect. And I was 9 years old, and the first 4.5 years we lived in Brooklyn, in Bay Ridge, typical immigrant ground. And it was a 1-bedroom apartment for 4 people. And I shared a room. I shared a room with my brother back in Ukraine, and here, and all of our furniture came from the streets. So I slept on the couch that we took from the streets. And I didn't have my own room until I was 13, I think. And like a decent bed. So I always thought like, okay, what's the big deal? Like a lot of people have poverty, a lot of immigrants, typical immigrant story, you know? The thing is, typical, when immigrants move to the US or to another country like UK, let's say Australia, you can see on average immigrants financially, economically are doing really well, first generation. I was on my own because like my family is really dysfunctional. There was abuse, in addition to all the poverty. So the thing is, like, I did not have that reflection of poverty and the need to get out of it. Like, I just kind of didn't I didn't have like a huge drive until I met somebody and he kind of said like, this is what I'm supposed to do as an immigrant. So I got my lucrative job that I'm still in. And within it, I kind of kept trying on my own to rise up. So get a better job, get a better place to live, a nicer car, vacations, like the standard, you know, of middle class life. But it seemed like everything was it was so much work. I always feel like a mule, just constantly working, but not working towards anything. Then I went to Israel for a year, and I thought that would improve my life because I was getting a second degree. I paid for it, you know, worked so hard. Living in Israel, the apartment I was in, I felt more in poverty than I did in my childhood. Like the living conditions were like so impoverished. So yeah, I view that thing, you know, all Zionists or Jews are just wealthy. Like you go see how Israelis live. Just go. You'll see how much they're being taken advantage of. Just like the regular people. So the thing, and you know, so I came back from Israel, tried to keep working, you know, that's the wheels, working hard, working hard, working hard. Then my ascension thing happened, the awakening, and it felt like double the work. So I had my physical 3D job, And then when I wasn't doing that, I was doing my ascension job, which is a ton of energy work, working through the triggers, working through all the energies that are coming through every energy portal. It's just lesson after lesson. It was so fast. Like, I mean, the ascension process is basically activating your strands of DNA. And within like, it's been less than 2 years. And I know I've activated, I'm on 6 strand of DNA. Like my healing ability started, visions, just connecting to the divine, like feeling it, feeling the energies from like when the divine is communicating. I wouldn't say like downloads, like some people get downloads with full information. Haven't had that. But it's been a ton of work. So it's been overwhelming. And when I came from Israel, my part of my lessons were to stay with my parents for 2 years to release a lot of the trauma. But the trauma that I released was like the abuse, the narcissism, the neglect from my parents, not the poverty aspect. The poverty aspect still didn't hit me, like it just never occurred to me. And the poverty aspect is most of my childhood. And so when it was time to leave my parents, I've been kind of Airbnb hopping. I'm on my 3rd. So the first one was like a nice studio on the river. I like staying on the water. So, you know, to me, like that's a blessing. Like that's, you know, God blessed me, right? And then the second place, I was directed to move to downtown Ithaca. Any of you know, it's woke ground, like absolute woke. And on top of that, I mean, it shouldn't surprise us, but the Freemason Society building is right smack in the downtown area. And the energy in that, so each place has been 2.5 months exactly, like each one. And the energy that was so heavy, so it's like 2.5 months of just like shedding that energy. And I was directed, like there were 2 buildings that needed clearing, like there was like really bad energy underneath those buildings and around them. So it was exhausting. Like we went from the winter solstice to the 2's portal, the 2222, whatever. Then when the 2 portal finished, 222, I thought I was gonna have some relief, but no, on the 23rd is when the war started with Ukraine. And I felt that energy, like I felt the collective energy. So there was like another shift. And then the spring equinox, and my move to the 3rd place happened on the 17th. Surprise, right? So it's 2 days after Christ's birthday, the real birthday, the 15th, and I definitely felt his birthday. It was like basically feeling jittery all day. For several days, like throughout my, including the day of my move. So it was like nonstop work. And the 3rd place I'm staying in is like a fairy tale. It's a dream. It's a beautiful, typical like middle class, upper middle class kind of house in the US. It's in the woods, it's nature. It's just my dream house, basically. It's not my house. I'm just staying here for 2.5 months and I have no idea where I'm going next. It has a sunroom, which is one of my, like when I visualize my dream house, it includes a sunroom and in the woods. That's my dream. And it's not a huge house. It's a 3-bedroom, all for me. and I'm in the woods. It's like this whole territory is just for me. And, you know, this is when it hit me, my poverty. Like, I barely ever thought about it. The only time I thought about my poverty is when you have Americans, like especially in the past 5 years, Americans really trashing the US. Like, it's such a terrible place. It's so bad here. And notice that it's not coming from immigrants. It's coming from people who've lived like this and don't understand the value of this. Like, if I can swing the camera around, you can just see, like, it's a regular house, but to me, this is the best I've ever been in. I've been to other people's houses, you know, like as a guest. I've stayed in Airbnbs for like a nice house for a week, a few days. Not this long, where it feels like home. And exactly like my dream home. And like, if I'm staying, like, it's kind of a secluded area. Like, I have my own road. Even I don't have a car, but I have my own road. And then there's like a more main road, and you can see houses. Like, I just took my dog for a walk, and then I could see just houses. They're not like right next to each other, they're spread out, but close. And, you know, they're like nice, like spacious, not huge, not mansions, but spacious, you know, comfortable. And then there was a house with like a stable and a goose walking around just like free on the property. Like, I mean, that's just a dream. Like, and you don't have to be a millionaire to have something like this. I mean, yes, you have to work hard, sure, smart, but this is available. And to me, it's hitting me hard, because, you know, like, going from a tiny apartment in Ukraine where I had dizzy spells holding on to the wall because I didn't have enough to eat that was nutritious, to immigration, where there's some more poverty, right? And then years of adulthood, just like trying and trying and trying and trying, and things just kind of, you know, I had nice cars. I would get myself designer clothes, but like all that stuff was meaningless. Like, I didn't care as much as it didn't affect me as much as this house is affecting me, or just being here. And I have no idea where I'm going next. It could be a shithole. That's why it means so much to me, even more so. Like, my, you know, even if it's for a little while, that I get a taste of the American dream, and of comfort, of coziness, of warmth. You know, I wouldn't say luxury. I mean, it's basic. You know, it's not a mansion. There's no pool or anything. So I wouldn't say it's luxury, but it's plenty. And like, just I'm turning 37 soon, and how the childhood, like, again, I didn't know that poverty level was ever affected me. And so I wanted to share, like, how something, you know, we think it's buried, or we think it's no big deal, it can come smacking us. And well, I mean, I'm just processing it. That's why I'm making the video, to help myself process it. Writing a journal. I've been crying every day. And I think that's just a healthy process, just to cry it out. I was walking and I saw that beautiful house with a stable, and I broke into tears. It's just amazing to be here. Um, yeah, it just feels blissful to be here. Just finally, just a little piece of heaven on earth after so much. I've moved around a lot, and that's another thing that's triggering me. I've moved around so much. I never had a home. Never felt at home. I had a decent apartment once in outside of Austin. Never felt home. And even though this is not my home, I get 2.5 months of feeling at home finally. And maybe again, like I don't know where I'm going next, but finally, after so many years, I get a little bit. And it's actually all I wanted was to feel at home, have a family, settle down, have a community. I was chasing that. That's why I went to Texas. That's why I went to Israel. I was chasing it. And I didn't get it anywhere. So all this stuff is coming up again. So yeah, brace yourself. Sometimes it's just gonna come. And it's not something I could have prepared for. I did not anticipate that this was gonna come at me, coming here. But yeah, just writing it out.